So last week I talked about Digimon Cybersleuth and how amazing that game was. And a small mention on my previous video on Next Order, this made a small cameo. And, well, that's because this game is, I wouldn't call it controversial, but definitely looked down upon when it deserves much better. So a little backstory to this. So when Cybersleuth came out, everyone that played it was just finally amazed at how good that they finally got a good Digimon game. Because Digimon games beforehand, mostly Digimon Worlds, were always bad to end because of how I would say demanding and lack of resources they give you. They never really tell you a lot, with maybe the few exceptions of the layer entries like Next Order, which does try to give you every option possible without piggybacking. So when Cybersleuth came out, everyone was like, finally, a traditional RPG, and a good one at that. And to top it off with Hacker's Memory, just even more of that. And everyone was just, they freaking loved it. So talks came in, and people were expecting like, oh, maybe their next game should be like Cybersleuth. Maybe they should do more like story-driven character games like that. Maybe ditch the whole Digimon World games, or maybe just maybe do a couple of them. Obviously that didn't happen because the Digimon company doesn't like doing that. Technically Bandai, but still, they always like to do something different. I like that about them, but at the same time, that's annoying as hell to go through. So instead we got here is Digimon Survive, the game that came out right after Digimon Story Cybersleuth Complete Edition. And this game did not have the best, I would say, announcement, because a lot of people were disappointed of the game because they thought it was going to be another Cybersleuth-like game, but instead it went completely a different direction. It was more visual book-like storytelling instead, as the only thing that they know of before the game came out was we were getting a more darker story that could potentially be driven based off of the directions or paths that you take along the way. The cast can actually die, and that can affect the gameplay, stuff like that. Instead, we got, like I said, a visual novel with a lackluster battle system. And what really drives it is that people thought they were lied to and were hating on the game because of that alone. Not knowing that previous prep talks, and even I think some of the trailers, mentions hey, they're not doing another Cybersleuth. They want to do something different. And what came out of that was Digimon Survive. And I will say, from what little I can tell, because I only played this partially halfway through. I don't even think I can say halfway through. I played this until I lost the first kid, because a friend of mine kind of told me something that kind of ruined it for me. But I'll still play it after that. I give it a little play. I give it a little playtime every now and then. So what's the deal with this game? Like I mentioned, this is a visual novel, and I already went into the game knowing that. And honestly, it really does work. I do like the characters, all except for one, because he's an ass. And I can tell through all their dread throughout the entire time, because basically these kids go on a field trip with their teacher. Then during the trip, this mist comes in, this mist or fog, whatever comes in, and basically unknowingly takes them to this midway point. And all the creatures that, I think they've been calling them yokai or something, but in our case, they're Digimon, come in to try to attack them. And slowly, one by one, each character are met with their partners. Yeah, you can't choose your partners. Each Digimon's already designated with a partner. I guess, I don't know how else to show. I guess I'll show in the clip, whatever. And with your newfound partners, you are led into a story that you have to pick out the decisions based on what is going on, or how you can even help with some of the characters, because some of them, one in particular, are super depressed, or just not in their head due to the story alone, thinking that they'll die or whatever. And then from the few I can tell, you got the main antagonists, from what I gather through spoilers alone, is probably Myotismon and some other few Digimon like that want to kill the children for a ritual, whatever. Yeah, there's a lot of death talking in this. I kind of like about it. At the same time, Jesus Christ. Now, why did I stop halfway through? Well, it's because I found out through play time alone, I'm not really a big fan of visual novels. This is my first and so far only visual novel, and I did want to try mostly because it had the Digimon flavor put on top, but I didn't care too much. I do enjoy it as I go, and I do try everything my best to try to keep all the kids alive. However, I'm not that big fan of reading and stuff. Even with a visual novel, being a visual novel helps. At least it's like I can see something going on. But to me, it's kind of bland. However, it's not bad. It's actually really good, and it has its hype-up moments mostly whenever your partner Digimon, well, Digivolves. Mine became a Tyrannomon based on the actions alone that I had. Go back into that one a bit. And then I got to experience the battle game mechanics. And I do like tactic games. This one is kind of bland as well. The only unique thing that you can do about it is that your partner Digimon can Digivolve and de-Digivolve as many times as you can, depending on, like, I think MP points or whatever you have. It depends on whenever you unlock their Digiball path. Yeah, you need to unlock their Digivolutions along the way. However, you can recruit wild Digimon based on, like, a small questionnaire to get their attention, and you can actually have them permanent on the team. The difference between them is that they need stones, or some type of stones or whatever, to Digivolve, and their Digivolution is permanent. They're stuck like that. And because I got this pre-order, I got the exclusive Guilmon. I don't know how exclusive that Guilmon is. It was just nice having it, and honestly makes the tactic parts a bit easier because he's kind of busted, not gonna lie. Overall, I do enjoy this game. It's just not my style. What ruined it for me was one of my friends told me when he heard I got Tyrannomon, I was like, yeah, that kid along with some others are destined to die anyway, because he basically told me that depending on my first evolution alone, I'm not only stuck with that Evo path, but basically I'm not getting the good endings. Like, great, thanks. Not much freedom of choices there. I'm already not a fan of whenever a Digimon game or Digimon franchise tries to, like, either nudge you or, like, hey, go for the Warg Greymon path. Next Door did that a little bit whenever you fight a Warg Greymon and a Melgarumon based off your partners originally and intended to be, and so that way you can get the canonical ending of having an Omegamon or whatever. I'm already not a fan of that. That's why I like to do a different Digimon, and I hope others like to do their own thing. But when this game basically tells you to get the good ending, you have to get Warg Greymon, and then Omegamon's like, oh yeah, spoilers at that. But yeah, not a fan of that. I already not a fan of that. I usually reserve those guys as like the anime characters' own thing. I like to do my own thing, which is why I was fine with getting Tyrannomon rather than a Greymon line. I'm not a Greymon hater. I just don't like the little nudge to do the canonical way. Well, as everything I said, how I rate this game, probably a 3.5 Kunemons, because it's fine. This game is really good. If you like story-driven stuff and just narratives alone, if you just like reading and you like Digimon, this is definitely a good game. There are some twists and turns that depend on the children's well, physical or mental health, as one of them in particular actually has a dark evolution path kind of like yours that actually gets the story going further. But I don't think I'm going to go too deep into doing that. This game, I will play it every now and then, but it's not on the top of my list. One thing it does better than Cybersleuth, though, that I didn't mention, is that it actually comes with art inside, unlike the case of Cybersleuth. I rest my case.